Hey guys, this is Matt Miller with Politibrawl. Watch RFK Jr. stand against Senate Democrats today, grilling him on his vaccine policy. Senator Warner, who's a Democrat, confronts him about what he said about vaccines and COVID-19, and RFK Jr. gives it right back to him. It's a very explosive moment. Watch it right here.
Mr. Secretary, I agree with a lot of my colleagues' statement. I actually had hoped, I didn't support you. I thought taking on chronic illnesses was going to be important. I've got two kids, as we discussed when we met, that have chronic illnesses. I'm not sure that the focus on red dye and seed oils are going to fully solve that problem.
Of course they won't.
I would say this, that seems where your emphasis is. I want to go back to just, again, some basic facts. Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID?
I don't know how many died.
You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services. You don't have any idea how many Americans died from COVID?
I don't think anybody knows that because there was so much data chaos coming out of the CDC, and there was so many perverse incentives. These are models.
You don't know the answer of how many Americans died from COVID. This is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Do you think the vaccine did anything to prevent additional deaths?
Again, I would like to see the data and talk about the data.
You have had this job for 8 months, and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved
and
lives?
that's the problem, is that they didn't have the data. The data by the Biden administration absolutely dismal.
Who is politicizing? You're saying the Biden administration politicized all the data? Go back to what Senator Cantwell just said.
Fired Dr.
Go to the Trump Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Krauss. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Krauss.
So, Mr. Chairman, the Secretary of Health and Human Services doesn't know how many Americans died from COVID. Doesn't know if the vaccine helped prevent any deaths. And you are sitting as Secretary of Health and Human Services? How can you be that ignorant? I remember when we went through the hearing with you, I asked you about community health centers. You didn't know what role they play. I've been visiting community. I'm glad you got to one. I think in April. I tell you what I hear on community health centers, they are terrified, with all due respect to my good friend, the chairman, of the big awful bill, because they are going to lose health care across the board. They already live in food deserts. They can't get to a nutritionist because Medicaid doesn't do enough reimbursement. If you're going to want Americans to get healthier, should they have access to nutritionists? Should they have access to good science about healthy food?
Absolutely.
Well, then how is that going to happen with the Medicaid cuts that are taking place?
There are no cuts to Medicaid.
Sir, that is an absurd. There is not a single, some of my Republican colleagues, but there is not a single study that does not, and I can tell you, I was in Franklin, Virginia, a couple days ago. The rural hospital is going to close. The hospital system was so afraid they wouldn't even let me have the meeting there. But that rural hospital is going to close. And they are looking for where those folks are going to go. I mean, you're supposed to be doing health care policy, not being the doctor in residence for all of America. I hope I can just say I'm still going to trust my doctor rather than your health advice.
With our thing.
And obviously, Tom Cotton's going to, who knows who he's going to trust.
This whole hearing today is a show trying to demonize RFK Jr. and through him, the Trump administration's Make America Healthy Again agenda, which is challenging the alliance between the Washington, D.C. establishment and Big Pharma. The pharmaceutical companies have had all kinds of alliances and have been pushing their agenda, pushing their products through the establishment media, through lobbying efforts on Washington, D.C., on Capitol Hill. And RFK Jr. is an outsider. He's challenging this whole agenda directly, and he's calling into question things that people on D.C. have not been allowed to talk about for a very long time. One of those things being, as we see here in this conversation, that Warner is saying, how do you not know how many people died of COVID-19? Well, RFK's point is that there was so many reporting anomalies or reporting issues with recording deaths of COVID-19 where people were erroneously or falsely designated as having died of COVID-19 when they just simply had COVID-19 and actually died of another cause. So RFK's point isn't that he's ignorant or that he didn't do his homework. He's saying that no one knows the true scale of COVID-19 deaths because of these reporting issues. RFK Jr. is the biggest threat to Big Pharma and all of the politicians who have taken money from Big Pharma, and that's why we're seeing this ruthless grilling of RFK today in the Senate. They need to take him down. They need to discredit him. They need to make him look like an extremist when really he's not anti-vaccine. He's not a conspiracy theorist. He's someone who is simply asking questions and reevaluating and reimagining the status quo. And that is simply enough for this relentless backlash from Senate Democrats and even establishment Republicans who are being paid, they're being bribed by the pharmaceutical companies to uphold a certain status quo and to push their agenda to make sure that the narrative is being relayed in the way that they want it to be. So I think that RFK is doing a great job so far today. If you guys are following the hearing live, I encourage you to do so because this is really, really important stuff for the American people to know the truth about the alliance between DC and Big Pharma, the truth about COVID-19 reporting statistics and the death toll and the true effects of vaccines. Now, again, RFK is not anti-vaccine. He's simply challenging the notion that so many dozens and dozens of vaccines should be prescribed automatically to everyone across the board uniformly. That this one-size-fits-all approach, that everyone should be getting all these vaccines, he's re-examining this. He wants to look into it and make sure that this is actually healthy, that this is actually the right thing to do, because the way that we arrived at the current protocol, he says, is riddled with corruption, is riddled with error. I don't think that people shouldn't take vaccines, but I think it's definitely should be on the table to ask questions about vaccines. It should be on the table to ask questions about COVID-19 deaths and anything in the pharmaceutical establishment, anything that they're giving to us, anything that Pfizer is pushing out on commercials across CNN and Fox News or wherever. We should be able to challenge and ask questions about these claims. Because, I hate to break it to you, and a lot of you guys already know this, the big pharmaceutical companies don't always have Americans' health as their first priority. They have their own profits, their own interests, their own narratives that they're more interested in pushing and protecting than actually making sure people get healthy, stay healthy. And I've been a huge fan of RFK's approach so far. I think that he's doing a lot to bring in new ideas for what could be causing chronic health issues and chronic diseases, what's in our foods, American health habits, fitness, lack of fitness habits. We're not getting out and getting active. We're not getting fit. We have obesity. We have diabetes. We have chronic health issues that Big Pharma and the status quo, the establishment has failed to adequately address. And he has a new approach. And I don't think that we should shoot him down for it like these Democrats are doing relentlessly. We should be open-minded to a new approach, and I think that so far it's been effective and promising. So anyway, I want to hear what you guys think in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think of RFK's performance today during the hearings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.